In my previous video, I showed you how to combine arrays and how to use arrays to position movie clip objects on the stage. In this video, I'll show you various methods that allow you to add elements to an array. I'll begin by showing you the push method. I'm going to start with the last example I used in my previous video. I have already added a graphic to the stage. This will be the backdrop for my role-playing characters. In order to fit my characters on this backdrop, I've reduced their size by 50%. I have also added a green button to the stage, which I've named BTN Green. Next, I'll modify my code. First, I'm going to delete all the previous arrays. And create a new empty array. Then I'll modify the X and Y arrays to position my characters on top of the backdrop. Now, I'm going to create a new function called pushElement. Characters is the name of the array. Push is the method. And my warlock is the movie clip object to be added after the last element in the array. Then I'm going to cut and paste the place characters call inside the new function. And finally, I'll add a button listener. And I'll test the movie. Although the warlock is the only character in this array, it's important to remember that the push method adds the new element after the last element. The unshift method is used to insert an element at the beginning of an existing array. In this example, I'll show you how to insert the wizard in front of the warlock using the unshift method. I've added an orange button to the stage, which I've named BTN Orange. In my Actions panel, I'm going to copy my previous function and paste it here. I'll rename this function UnshiftElement. The unshift method looks like this. Characters is the name of the array. Unshift is the method, and my wizard is the movie clip object to be inserted into the first position of the array. Finally, I'll replace BTN Green with BTN Orange and replace pushElement with UnshiftElement. Then I'll test the movie. I'll push the warlock to the end of the array, and then I'll unshift the wizard to the beginning of the array. The splice method can be used either to insert or remove elements from an array. In this example, I'll show you how to insert the knight, elf, and dwarf in between the wizard and the warlock using the splice method. In my setup, I've added a blue button to the stage, which I've named BTN Blue. In my Actions panel, I'm going to copy my previous function and paste it here. I'll rename this function SpliceElements. The splice method must have at least 2 arguments and looks like this. The first required argument sets the starting index, which I've set to 1. The second required argument sets the number of elements to be deleted. I don't want to delete any elements, so I've set this value to 0. The optional arguments are the elements you wish to insert into the array. In this example, I'll insert the knight into position 1, followed by the elf and then the dwarf. The warlock will be shoved down to position 4. Finally, I'll replace BTN Orange with BTN Blue and replace unshift element with splice elements. I'll test the movie. Then I'll push the warlock to the end of the array, unshift the wizard to the beginning of the array, and now splice the knight and the elf and the dwarf in between the wizard and the warlock. I'm concerned that my smallest hero, the dwarf, is now facing the warlock, the most powerful of the evildoers. Fortunately, there's an array method that will allow me to rescue my dwarf. It's called the assignment method. In this example, I'll show you how to even the odds by swapping the wizard with the dwarf. In my setup, I've added a red button to the stage, which I've named BTN Red. In my Actions panel, I'll copy my previous function and paste it here. I'll rename this function Swap Elements. The assignment method looks like this. Characters is the name of the array. 0 is the index value of the first element. Equals is the assignment operator. And my dwarf is the element to be assigned in the first position of the characters array. In the second statement, my wizard is the element to be assigned in the third position of the characters array. Finally, I'll replace BTN Blue with BTN Red and replace splice elements with swap elements. Then I'll test the movie. I'll push the warlock to the end of the array. I'll unshift the wizard to the beginning of the array. Then I'll splice the knight, elf, and dwarf in between the wizard and the warlock. And finally, I'll swap the wizard with the dwarf using the assignment method. In my next video, I'll show you how to remove elements using array methods. To learn more, visit my website at larrystimson.com.